Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and today we're going to be breaking down the hitbox issue in Apex Legends. Now if you guys don't know, a test has been conducted by a YouTuber called Suki Spy, which showed that each legend has a different hitbox size, Wraith with the smallest and Gibraltar with the largest, with the rest being somewhere in between. This caused a massive uproar in Apex Legends community and basically confirmed why it feels so much harder to hit a Wraith compared to any other legend in the game. Now before we break down these results, I want to quickly compare the characteristics between CSGO, Overwatch and Apex when it comes to movement speed, hitbox sizes and health, because I think it really gives some good context to this issue. For CSGO, it's quite simple. The game is all about gunplay and thus each model is exactly the same. Same health, same movement speed and HP. There is no differences at all. This means that gunplay is 100% about your skill and skill alone. Perfect for a competitive team-based shooter. Overwatch goes in the completely opposite direction, as it's a class-based shooter where different heroes have different movement speeds, hitboxes, and health. This works in that game as abilities are extremely significant and are the key component to winning most teamfights, while basic gunplay is not as important in general. Then we have Apex Legends and it's a mixed bag. Different movement speeds, different hitboxes, but each class has the same amount of base health. From this you can see it's treading a fine line. Is it trying to be more gunplay focused like CSGO or more ability focused like Overwatch? And if you play a few matches you can see it's definitely more gunplay focused, but the characteristics are also like Overwatch with the classes. This is the reason why the hitbox issue is really important, as choosing the best legend in this game is less about what their abilities actually are, even though that is still a significant part of the game, but more so how good they are in general combat because of their hitbox side, because there is such a big variance. But let's go and break this down. The problem with hitboxes in Apex Legends is because this game is gunplay focused. The vast majority of your kills are going to be because of weaponry, not abilities. That means it's in your best interest to pick the character with the smallest hitbox size, as it makes it harder for your opponents to hit their shots. Simply, there is less of a margin for error when it comes to aiming and leading bullets with smaller hitbox characters, which means if you go and utilize them, you will survive longer. People can make the argument of just hit your shots, but if a Wraith is against a Gibraltar and both of them have their abilities on cooldown and it's a straight showdown, the likelihood of the Wraith winning is high simply because it's easier for her to hit her shots and harder for the Gibraltar to hit his. This is especially so if you have a shotgun like the Peacekeeper, as hitting all your pellets on a character like Gibraltar is easier as the area to hit is bigger. Furthermore, this hitbox issue is compounded because Apex Legends has a problem with strafe spamming. This is where you go left to right in such a well-timed manner where you can be extremely unpredictable and difficult to hit. And this is really frustrating if you're on the opposing team because the character model is just going left to right so fast you don't really know where to aim. The hitbox is moving so quickly. Games like Counter-Strike have countered this by adding an acceleration curve, making AD spam less viable but still keeping the fluidity of movement. This acceleration curve means that when you press A, you go a bit slowly and then you finally go to full speed moving left, and the same with going right. You start out a little bit slow and then you move right at full speed. It's not that noticeable and the fluidity is still there, but it really makes a difference where you just can't AD effectively as you just stay at the same spot. Really important to keeping the integrity of the game. The lack of an acceleration curve in Apex means that movement feels really snappy and fluid, which is great, and when you go and press the button, you move in that direction instantly, but it can be easily abused if you're getting hit. AD, move left and right, your hitbox will just be all over the place, and you can see where I'm going. If you have Wraith, it makes it even harder for people to go and hit you. So as we can go and see, Apex Legends has a very big problem when it comes to hitboxes. Now why did nobody complain about this until the video came out? Well, the majority of the time, if you go and miss your shots, you think, okay, it's my problem. I aimed incorrectly, I wasn't on target, therefore I didn't go and get the kill. But knowing this information, it's quite frustrating that, okay, if that Wraith was a Gibraltar, maybe my shots would have been on target. Now before we move on to potential solutions for this problem, I wanted to point out Apex Legends netcode because it is quite bad. YouTuber Battle Nonsense did a full network analysis video on Apex, and I'll go and link that in the description for you to watch in full. But basically there is a 150 millisecond delay on gunfire, damage and movement, and this is significantly higher than any other first person shooter. Furthermore, high ping players can go and shoot lower ping players behind cover due to lag compensation, and this ruins certain engagements. These issues are significant to the hitbox issue, as long delays can make shots that would hit miss and missing shots hit, adding in a big factor of unpredictability. If I lag, maybe I could go and hit people that I shouldn't be able to go and hit, but if I'm full ping and the other person's lagging, maybe I'll go and miss shots. You can see where this is going. Now, getting back on track to the core issue, how can Respawn fix this problem? Well, to an extent, they have gone and thought about this hitbox issue, as Gibraltar does have an arm shield that can go and block shots, so they said, okay, he has a bigger hitbox, let's go and give him a bit of a buff. But for characters like Korzik, who have no inherent defense mechanisms, having a bigger hitbox simply gimps him in every fight, except from close range where he can go and use his gas, and smaller hitboxes really don't matter because you're just barrel stuffing. So according to our table right here, the first idea you could potentially think up is changing the health for each character. Now, balancing around this would be an absolute nightmare, and I guarantee that Respawn won't go down this direction. The reason why is because the gameplay dynamic would go and change up so much. This game is around gun-focused battles. Therefore, if somebody has more health, they're just going to be automatically better, and you're not going to go and pick any of the other characters, so it just goes and turns everybody into sponges of bullets. It would make gunplay so terrible to go and experience. So with that terrible idea out of the way, let's go and talk about a more reasonable one, making the hitbox sizes of older characters the same or relatively the same. Now, for the sake of not having to remodel each legend completely, there can be a little bit of leeway, but the difference right now we have is ridiculous. Have a look at Wraith compared to Gibraltar. She's like 60% of him. It's insane. Make Wraith stand up properly. Pull Mirage's arms in. Fix the Pathfinder bug where one skin dictates his hitbox, and get rid of some of those useless containers on Caustic. This situation is more so a case of cleaning up the bigger models and getting rid of elements which make them bigger, like really baggy clothing. Just go and make it a bit more tucked in, or getting rid of like a belt, or getting rid of a container on someone's back or side. It just goes and makes the hitbox a bit more slimmer, and it really will go and help out. And then going and beefing up the smaller characters like Wraith and Lifeline. Firstly through their stances, making them stand up properly, then animations, and then clothing, until we go and get to a healthy state where the majority of the characters have relatively the same hitbox with a little bit of variance here and there, but overall they're basically the same. I personally feel that if Respawn changes any other parts of these characters, like their health, armor, and base movement speeds, it could definitely alienate the community and come off as a disaster, because every match would be, okay, you have to pick a certain character to fit the meta. You pick Gibraltar because you're going and picking the tank. You pick Wraith because you're the flanker. Right now, with everybody having the same base health and the max potential armor being the same and all that, that means the team composition is basically up in the air. You can go and play what you want, and they all go and fit loosely together. It's not that it's stringent. You have to pick this character. This is rock, paper, scissors, better than that. It all just kind of is loosely fitting together, and it works perfectly in a battle royale format. If you go and muck with those other components though, it could really go and change up the whole feeling of the game. Standardizing the hitboxes across the board, or as best they can, is probably the best idea, simply because the feel of each legend and the feel of gameplay will remain basically the same, which is fantastic. We don't want to go and touch that. The only difference is that general gameplay will feel a bit more fair, have a bit more leniency, as the shots will connect more consistently across all models, as the hitboxes will be basically the same. For Wraith and Lifeline, this type of change would go and hit them the hardest because they have the smallest hitboxes, but their abilities are quite powerful, and it actually goes and furthers this issue. It's probably deserving nerf in the first place, and would go and bring them in line as balanced legends, because with their really powerful abilities and their hitbox troubles, they're just really quite strong. Now for Korzik and Pathfinder, this will go and make them better in general combat, instead of having to go and rely on close range engagements and flanks. While Bloodhound, Mirage, and Bangalore won't feel much different, using them will feel better simply because you'll have an easier time hitting shots against Wraith and Lifeline. If Apex goes down this route though, it's extremely important that they get the hitboxes right, as too big of a hitbox will go and increase the time to kill, because the average person, they're going to be missing shots in their spray, but if the hitbox is too big, they will go and hit more shots on average, therefore the time to kill will go and decrease. But if the hitbox is too small, it'll be frustrating to go and hit targets. Now I believe that the Bangalore Mirage type of hitbox is what they should be aiming for, with Lifeline and Wraith being a tad smaller and Korzik and Gibraltar being a tad bigger to go and compensate for the models. I don't think it should be exactly the same across the board, that would just be a little bit too much. In conclusion, the core gameplay of Apex is amazing. I absolutely love this game. It just needs to be touched up from the technical perspective, and balancing out these hitboxes is the best way to go and do that. It won't go and change the feeling of Apex. Apex will feel exactly the same, which is what we want. It will just go and make the game a bit fairer, and that's exactly what we need. If you guys have any opinions on this issue, make sure to go and comment in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to go and subscribe for more Apex Legends videos. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes all the way from down under, out.